Video editing is the act of throwing things away. Why do we throw things away? Well, when we shoot video, we get lots of things we don't need. We get directors saying, and action. We get people going, oh, and I went to, oh, and, well, actually, the real reason is, and then they finally say what you want them to say. So there's all sorts of bits and parts that stink, that aren't good. Or maybe you get soft focus or you miss the shot. And so there's parts of the shots that aren't usable. We call this shot ratio, the amount of good material versus the amount of bad material. And do you know what a professional shot ratio is considered? 5-to-1, that you actually throw away 5 times more than you keep. And that's what the professionals do. So you need to be prepared to actually throw away a lot of things. And I want to talk about that process. So the first thing we're going to do here is I'm going to choose Browse and Bridge. And this allows me to go out and look at my footage. And I've got a little project here I've put together. And here it is. It's just some shots of boats. And here's what I like about Bridge. When I'm in Bridge and I select a video shot, it'll actually let me browse and find all my material. And I could rearrange these. I can renumber them. I can reorder them. And you can actually see it play in real time. Look at see, plays back smoothly, real time, which is nice. We can actually see what we're doing and we can review the footage. Now let's plug this in. Cover your ears just to be safe. Oh, that wasn't bad. Earlier today I went like, so I didn't want to zap you. So we can look at shots. We can make this bigger. And you can use things like labels, 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. Reject. Every once in a while you are going to reject something. And you can rank them. So you could sort and sift and pick your shots out. Now some of you are saying, what about Lightroom? I use Lightroom. That's fine. Use Lightroom. But everything you import into Lightroom, you're going to have to export back out to your hard drive anyways to edit it because you can't pull it in off your Lightroom catalog. I don't work for Adobe. Don't complain to me. Okay? So I tend to just put it on the hard drive and use Bridge to browse and rate and sort and sift. If you want to do it another way, go ahead. I'm just telling you what I do. You can do whatever you want. I use Bridge. Now, one of the nice things about Bridge is you have the ability to make a collection. So I can include all these files in this collection if I want. And the cool thing here is as we're working in this folder, let's just deselect that collection. We'll go back here. As I'm working and I start grabbing files, I can say, oh, well, what shots do I want to use? And let's just go in here. And I said, oh, you know what? I want all of these shots. And I'll just drag those into that collection. In fact, a collection can contain shots from several different folders. So if you've got footage spread out in a few different places, you can make a collection that holds them all and makes it easier to use. Now, that's nice. However, I'm going to tell you a huge gotcha. When you bring video into Photoshop, it doesn't get into your Photoshop file. It is linked from your Photoshop file. So good media management practices would call for you to do what? Raise a hand. Go ahead. If she raises your hand, not that quick. Get them organized, put them into a folder first, right? I'll pick a book. Okay, so you can pick which one you want. We'll be doing some random drawings too, but pick one. We have 2 sets of Tiffin DFX packages and 5 books today, so it's a pretty good price. It's not as good as the closing ceremonies, but 7 prizes in one session. Has that happened at all this week? No, okay. So thank you to Peachpin and Tiffin for being nice and giving me prizes to give away. So we're going to get these all into one folder and get them organized. That way, when Photoshop goes to look for them, it doesn't have to go, where is this file? You just point it at the one and it'll reconnect. Because if you move the hard drive from one system to another, it can get confused. When you put the Photoshop file in the same folder as the video files, it doesn't get confused. It knows where to look. It goes, oh, it's right there. It's my cousin Bob. He's one spot over on the hard drive. So keeping them together, good idea. Okay? Now, I went as far as numbering my shots to make this easier for me. Do you have to do this? No. But have you ever noticed how your camera counter repeats itself about every 999 shots or every 9,999 shots? Do you know how many shots called DSC_001 you probably have on your hard drive? A lot. So one of the nice things with Bridge is that you could just get the shots in the right order, drag them in the order you want, and then just say, Tools, batch rename, and I'll just call this shot, and then I'll say, oh, go ahead and do a sequence number with a 2-digit sequence, and I can click OK, and it's going to batch rename. Or in this case, I only have 1 digit needed, but it's going to go through and rename everything. By the way, you can preserve the current file name in the metadata if you need to, so the original camera name is still in there. And yes, that works with stills, by the way, too. One of the things I like about Bridge is the ability to rename my files with better information like the client, the date it was shot, a unique number, but still keep the camera name in there. All right. How do we feel about just having our shots organized in one place and named or numbered in the basic order we want? You don't have to do it this way. Again, I'm just trying to simplify the editing process. Show of hands, you could figure out how to put shots in one folder and number them in the order you want. Okay, good. Those of you who don't, it's okay. You could do this one at a time. Some of you have arms that stopped working. Last night, I saw Midnight Madness. It was tiring. Let's do this. We go to Photoshop and we say File, New. And what I need to do is choose the Film and Video preset. All right. I've got that chosen, the Film and Video preset. It's working well. And what we're going to do is choose from the pop-up here. 720 or 1080p. How do you know? You look at what you recorded on your camera. Some of your cameras will only do 720. Some will do 1080. 1920 by 1080, 1280 by 720. It's totally up to you and your camera technology you have available. Now, the frame rate is the frequency of number of still images per second that are recorded. Some of you are saying, how in the world would they come up with a number like 29.97 or 23.976? Here's the deal. When they went to color television, they had to figure out a way to make the picture stable. And this is half of the number of frames that match the electrical frequency that goes through the outlets in the homes. And when they plug the TV set in, it's synced up with the current of the electricity and it didn't flicker. So you are living with technology that was invented in the 1950s or 40s, depending upon black and white or color, and it still affects you today. You want to know why? Because the video people are the crankiest, don't you dare change anything on me people you will ever meet in your life. And if you happen to come across a broadcast engineer, he or she may kill you for saying, I'd like to. No, you won't. Can I? No, you can't. They are the most traditionalists you will ever meet in your life. They do not like change. So we're stuck with these things. But here's the good news. Most of you will probably shoot 24p, which is the frame rate of film. Most DSLR cameras, if that's what you're using, or pro video cameras, will do that at a frame rate of 23.976. Now, when you make your new sequence, you click OK, and if you don't see the timeline, you just call it up Windows Timeline. You can also choose the motion workspace, and that will rearrange the panels so they're better configured for video. Okay. Everybody get the motion time space, file, new document, 1080 or 720, choose the motion workspace. We're good? Okay. How do I create a video timeline? I create the giant button labeled Create Video Timeline. Yay, Adobe, for finally labeling a button with what it does. It's a really big button, but they thought it would be a good idea to just call it what it is. There's my timeline. Now my frame rates do not match. What happens if your frame rates don't match? Well, when you render out the video file, it takes longer. And the picture gets soft because it has to make new frames, and it does it by blending them together, and your picture will look a little bit smeary or stuttery. So what you want to do is click. What is this called? Someone raise your hand. What is this little thing called? Go ahead. You raise your hand. You get a book. You probably passed your Adobe Certified Expert exam. Yes, it is a context menu, a submenu, or a panel menu, depending upon the application. Do you know what it really is? Where they put all the good stuff. In every single panel, this is where they hide the good stuff. I am so not kidding. This is where the presets are. This is where the effects are. This is where all of the power options are. So if I want to change my timeline rate, set timeline frame rate. And I'll just change this to 23.976 and click OK. Now, if you shot 29.97, would you change it? No, you would leave it alone. Who shoots 29.97? Broadcasters. People doing stuff for broadcast TV. How many of you are doing stuff for broadcast TV? That's what I was expecting. It's not a bad thing. It's kind of a dying business model. You're okay. 24p is the most popular frame rate in the world because it is the frame rate of film. Okay? It works great. And so that's why I shoot it. All right, I want to add things to my timeline. I rarely take questions, but you seem like a nice gentleman. Go ahead. You broke Mark's rule, though. Go. Okay, so there's this interframe or intraframe. It's basically a quality setting that not all cameras have. It doesn't change the speed. So it's really late, and I'm going to say that intraframe produces a smaller file size. It is more efficient with compression, but it's heavier compressed. But you will want to look that up in your camera manual, because I also think that I thought, a week ago coming to Vegas for 8 days was a good idea, and now I don't think so. So my brain is a little bit addled. All right, so just look it up. But that doesn't change the number of frames, it's just the quality setting. All right, to add video files. Again, it's really nice when Adobe designs a new feature. I love what they did with this feature. They actually, besides actually flying me out and talking to me a lot, they said, hey, let's make this easy. I want to add video files. I click the plus button. And then I just choose my shots. And I click open and watch what happens. They will all go into my timeline. That wasn't hard. Now, if we watch these shots here, I'm going to turn the volume down for just a second. We're going to talk about them. Okay, there's some water. I kind of get it. We're starting off with the water to establish the scene. And then that's kind of boring. Okay, all right, energy, good, high five. Okay, we're just looking at the back of people's heads now. Let's get off of that. No, really, let's get off of that. That's kind of boring. Okay, now it's jiggly. Okay, fine. Okay, now finally we're on another shot. But they're so far away. Well, couldn't we just come to that shot there? And it's dark. And well, yeah, come on. Okay, I get it. They're rowing. Yeah, I want to see the action. Where is the action? Boy, I suck as a photographer. Okay. Oh, there's the action. Okay, cool, good energy, yeah. And okay, we'll cut right about there, good. And oh yeah, everybody likes a dog. You gotta have a dog. You can't have a dog, you have a kid. But that'll get you like a couple of thumbs up on YouTube just for the dog. Especially if you don't own that type of dog. They'll automatically thumbs up your video. And this is okay, yeah, we got it, we're rowing. And can we see the next shot? And maybe? No? Okay, you get the idea, right? When you're shooting this, you have no exact idea on the rhythm of the piece. And you probably shoot a little more than you need, just to make sure the camera's stable. And the secret is this: when you are shooting, don't stop the camera too quick. Don't go ahead and stop. It's always a good idea to go in a bit. 1, 2, 3, then stop. Handles come in handy when you want to make it dissolve, so you have an overlap so the shots can do transitions. I'm not uncertain, I can't walk the title. And other things to think about is that you just want to make sure you can't see it. You touch the camera, turn it stop it quick, you might make it shake a little bit. So you start it before you need the shot, and you stop a little bit after you need the shot. But when you look at it back, what do you call this? Home movie, right? The only reason why they watch it is because you either promise them food or a barbecue, or they have blood relations and they're not allowed to leave. So as a person trying to see a professional setup, or just to be good at the internet, Your job is to make the video shorter and only show the good stuff. I'm sure you've heard this all week when people talk about showing your work in slideshows, right? Why show 10 photos when you can show 6? Get into the good stuff. And that's what we're going to do. Now, another thing that we need is some music. So where do we get music? Not our iTunes collection. Not the CD you buy at the store. And I do not care what justification you have for me. It's personal use, it's okay. My second cousin Sally told me so. She's a lawyer, she's in law school. You know what the fine is? Anybody raise a hand who didn't win a prize? Go ahead. Per view, have a book. $150,000 per view. Boy, that makes those 100 views on YouTube cost a little bit, doesn't it? So, you can make and get, stock music from places like iStock Photo, Triple Scoop Music, lots of places, about $35 to $100. Before you know, that's so expensive. There are places to get free music, like you can get Apple GarageBand and make music. Or CreativeCommons.org. Anybody hear of Creative Commons? Some photographers license their work that way. So do musicians. 350,000 tracks for non-commercial use, and almost 50,000 tracks for commercial use for free, as long as you put a tax credit for the artist at the end of the video. They have a search engine right on CreativeCommons.org called Mixer, M-I-X-E-R, so you could find music. And that's where the track I'm about to use comes from. So, can you pirate music? No. Do you have any good reasons to pirate music? No. Unless you think $150,000 per infringement, plus the 5 years per infringement they're allowed to charge for, although they rarely get. And they don't usually even get the $150,000. But does anybody know somebody who's been sued for music? None of you? One. Happens all the time. Okay? And here's some of you are saying, oh, but I do weddings and events, and the DJ has a license. Do you know what? That's fine. They can play background music. But if you edit video to it, you do not have a synchronization license. And that's a fine still. So don't do it, okay? I'm stepping off of the soapbox, and we'll now resume pushing buttons. Okay, here we go. Add a music track. Click the plus button, grab it. Now, when I add this track, what's going to happen here is that the audio is going to be a little hard to hear because we're going to have the audio of the video clips and the audio of the music. Okay? So, unfortunately, there is no global mute button in this version of Photoshop. Please continue to ask Adobe for a mute button or a solo button, because now you have to go through every single clip and turn the volume off one at a time. Yes, sometimes even great companies make bad mistakes. So to do that, you see this little triangle here, you click, you go to the audio tab and you mute it. And this one here, they're doing a high five, I like that. I'm gonna click and I'm gonna set the volume a little bit lower so we hear the cheering. And this one here, I'm gonna mute it. And let's see here. Let's check this one. Audio sounds okay. I want a little bit of that, so I'll just put it lower. Okay, here's the next one. Bunch of conversation. Let's mute it. And do you guys see how pretty easy that is? You just go through and you can adjust it. By the way, you might have noticed you could change the speed of the shot. So if you need to, you can speed it up or slow it down. However, any of you remember those episodes of Three Little Rascals or Three Stooges? Even today, it kind of looks like that. Very rarely can you get away with speeding up your video or slowing it down without it looking like a bad effect. So I generally do not do that, or if I do, it's very, very subtle. And I don't recommend you do it unless you really have a good reason. All right, let's listen to the music track here for a second. I'm going to turn the video off, by the way, so you just listen to the music. Cut. 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 Fade out. Now, I had the benefit, believe it or not, I went to college on a wrestling scholarship. There was a very cute, nice woman who was one of my best friends of the day. Next to me, I was pretty good cheerleader. I discovered my sense of grade in college. You won't often see it, but I was a male cheerleader in college. I've never told Photoshop Gold this before. It is actually a true statement. But if you have not had this joy in your life, you take a dance lesson every single day. You learn to hear good music. If you don't hear it, or some people have this, it's great. But you just listen to music a few times until you find the feeling. It's okay to listen to. I've heard this track a few times, I know the dance, I can see it in my mind. And as such, I'm going to adjust the shots so they feel like they're actually music. Does that seem okay to everyone? We're going to do that. Now, one thing that I want to point out that a couple of you are wondering is, some of those shots were dark, and they weren't very saturated, right? The photographer was going, picture quality, images, wait, you got to fix that. We fix color last in a video workflow. 2 reasons. Number 1, it takes a lot of processing power on your computer, so your computer slows down. So it's a less enjoyable experience. It might stutter. Number 2, when you adjust this shot, it's based on the shot that comes before it and after it, and you're trying to make them match. So if you color correct everything independently, when you put it together, you have what we call in technical terms a patchwork quilt. So you want to color correct shots in relationship to each other because it is time-based medium. Now, some of you are going to have a really hard time with that. Okay, so when you go like this, you go, okay, I will edit first. Okay, edit, mix, color correct. Okay, EMC, edit, mix, color correct. I really, really, really mean it. You'll be much happier with the process. All right, let's do this. We'll turn the video track back on. And I say, all right, let's find that first beat of music. See this little comments track? It's normally hidden. If you want, you can go ahead and turn on comments so you can see it. You just go in there and say show comments track. So now I'm just going to play this and I'll mark out the beat. See what I did there? I just clicked and I can add a comment. There we go. And that puts a little marker there, which makes it easier as I start to edit or tweak things to see where my major beat was. You don't have to do that, but I like to give myself visual markers. Or maybe you have dialogue that you're trying to line up, so you could put a specific marker for critical action. Okay, I select the clip and I just drag the edge and it adjusts. There's the next one. Click. Okay. Now, I'll pull this in. And the thing is that you don't have to pull it in from just the end. You could grab the front too if you need to. And I'm just shortening it. It snaps. Now, as I'm doing this, you'll notice down here it says 23 frames per second. It may not be real time. You want to turn on an option called allow frame skipping. So if you don't have enough memory or if your hard drive isn't fast enough, Photoshop will let the video get a little bit stuttery, but it'll play back in real time. If I have that turned off, you actually get changes in speed and you're not editing in real time. So just turn on allow frame skipping and it tends to work a little bit better for that initial edit. Okay? Now, I'm going to put a little dissolve in here while we're here. We'll say fade with black. And I'm going to put a little crossfade in here. Watch what happens when I crossfade. Watch really closely. What happened? It overlapped them, but it made it shorter. Other video editing tools wouldn't have done that. Photoshop does. I'm having a healthy discussion with the group because it now missed the beat of the music. So you need to go back, select that, and drag so you can change where the edit occurred. And so if you add a transition, you might need to adjust the trimming. Okay? A little loud, so let's just turn that up. And I'll lower the volume. There we go. I'll put another dissolve in there. Now, at this point, I'm going to break myself of my bad habit, which is that you should not use a transition on every single edit. It's called a creative crutch. The best transition is a cut. We may use one or two in here. I did it this way because I wanted to show the passage of time. It's early morning. The teams gather. They're on the boat front. They're on their boats on the water, and now we're going to start. Right? A transition indicates a change in space or time. It doesn't indicate you cut from one shot to the next. Do not overuse them. All right? Now, let's make an adjustment. I'm going to shorten this shot, right? This one was really boring, and I want to see them in there more. So I'm just going to grab this and drag, and look what I'm doing. I'm removing the front of the shot. Now, I'll pull that down. Okay? And sometimes when you do that, it gets confused with the transition. Now, if you're going to edit undo, why can't I go backwards? This is where step backwards can come in handy. So I'm just going to trim without the transition first, and everything ripples. Okay? Now, if you're not, you can always drag everything by shift clicking and put it in there. That seems okay. And we'll add the crossfade. All right. Here we go. I got my marker. Okay, there's another beat right there. Seems good. There we go. And I'm just going to shorten this. Now, all I'm doing is attempting to make edits. And I need to take a little bit off of this next shot. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now, if you don't want to drag the handles, there's another way of doing this. That way is to, with the clip selected, click the scissors. Split at playhead. So now you can just select that shot, hit delete, and it ripples down. So that's totally up to you. By the way, if you like keyboard shortcuts, just go under your define keyboard shortcuts. And if you say, show me the timeline panel for video, you will see that you can go ahead and assign keyboard shortcuts there. Like I made split at playhead Command/. Okay? And I could make those changes pretty easily. So let's try that. Command/. Delete. So you see how you can get some rhythm down? You don't have to keep going, stop, click, click, click. You could just assign a keyboard shortcut. And I know at Photoshop World, you've been preached to about the power of keyboard shortcuts, right? Somebody said that this week. Just make your own. They don't exist, but you can assign them. And I made it Command/ because that seemed logical to me. So pretty easy. Command/ delete. Okay? And all I'm doing here is getting my shots to line up. Now it's totally up to you how you do this. I'm just going to put a little bit, do these last couple shots quickly so you get the idea. There we go. Let's find where the music ends. Okay, so there's the end of the music. So let's just adjust these last couple shots. And it's really easy there. You see how I just make those little tweaks? Here we go. Let's get it where the boat is in the water. Good. And we'll get it there as they're crossing. And then at the end here, I want to see the finish line cross. That looks pretty good. Let's shorten that a little. Now, we have the rough edit. Let's watch it. Yes, the turn of the head was on music for a reason. And the cymbal crashes as they cross the end of the line. That is not creative serendipity. That is on purpose. That is listening to the music and finding motivation for the shot. Now, you can also call that highfalutin. You've been editing so long and you think it's art as opposed to commerce, but we like to delude ourselves every once in a while and think that the decisions we make have something more to do than pushing a button. I leave it up to you to decide what's right for you. Thank you, sir. And we go to 3:15, right? Is that right, Mark? 3:15, okay, thank you. So let's just make these little adjustments here, and at the end, we'll put a fade out. And now we get to the part that a lot of you want to do, which is color correct and add titles. So let's do this. When I have a shot selected, it's selected here in the layers panel. How would you non-destructively fix this shot? Adjustment layer, yeah. So I want to fix this shot. Let's try it. Look at the histogram. What does this shot lack? Contrast. So I use brightness and contrast, right? No. Brightness and contrast is like the magic wand. You have all been inducted into the secret society of people who actually know how to use Photoshop, and you can leave here today never using the magic wand or the brightness and contrast adjustment ever again. Now you know about the power of curves, but you might not have known if you Option or Alt click on the Auto button that you get the ability to enhance those curves with different methods, including snapping my midtones there. Wow, that's a better histogram, right? We spread the data out a little bit. Except it doesn't exactly feel like water. It's water, but it doesn't have that, oh, it's the early morning, it's nice and blue, right emotion. So let's do a hue saturation adjustment layer. I'll click colorize, and I'll dial in the blue. And I hope you are saying, I would get fired if I gave water that color, right? Unless you worked for the plumber's convention, and then that's the right color for the water. But we could change its blending mode to something nicer like hue or color, and then back off the opacity until it looks right? A subtle adjustment in the blue. Does that seem okay now? So one shot down. Let's go to the next one. The next shot is pretty much right. Let's take a look at it. I'll say, all right, that histogram's pretty good. We got a little spike there in the white. We got this. Who knows why there's an exclamation point here? You have to raise your hand. Go ahead. Nope. What? Nope. Go ahead. Nope. You win a book. Yes. See, the histogram doesn't actually show you an accurate histogram until you click the exclamation point and it redraws. I don't know why. It's like, wait a minute, you're telling me you didn't do your job and I have to click on you to do your job. But yes, that's what it means. It means that you were dragging around so quickly that the histogram didn't properly refresh and you have to click it. Kind of weird, huh? But it's important because if we're going to make decisions about color, shouldn't we have an accurate meter up? That's why we do it. So let's do that there. We got missing a little bit of contrast in the blacks. I'll do levels and just pull the blacks in. And look at how now we have nice crisp blacks. And I can move that brighter or darker. I'll say, you know what, let's pull those whites down. They're a little overexposed, and I bring back some of the sky. Every time you adjust one of these, you need to bring in a little bit of vibrance. Vibrance is going to do the non-skin tones more than the skin tones, or saturation does everything. But look, without width, okay? Video, because it's a compressed file format, throws away 75% of the color information when you write video on a DSLR camera. 75% of the color detail is automatically thrown away from the camera sensor when it writes the file, which means you almost always, and I mean always, add some vibrance back in. Now, if you're saying, why would they do that? Do you want to know why they do that? Because if you don't want that, you know what you have to buy? A camera that costs $30,000. And that 500 gigabyte memory cartridge records about 6 minutes of video. So, if you're working on a feature film budget, I can absolutely help you out. Otherwise, you have to do this stuff afterwards to make it look better, right? It's just like why we used to have to shoot JPEG, and then we would do extra things to bring it back. So does everybody accept that this is a technical limitation that you have to fix? Or you just live with it and you hope nobody ever says, why does your video look so, I don't know, blah? So you put a little color back in. Let's go to the next shot. And same thing. Curves, auto, vibrance, pop, pop, done. Didn't take very long, did it? Wait a minute. If the Photoshop professional is allowed to use the auto button, maybe I can too. Did any of you have that thought? Yeah. It is so okay. If it didn't work, then you just tweak it. There is nothing wrong with using the auto button. The auto button is just saying, take the best guess. And if it's wrong, then you fix it. There is no problem. I don't care what any other instructor told you. There is no ego when it comes to Photoshop. There is only hopefully a paycheck. So get the job done. All right, let's go to the next one and take a look at that shot. And it's okay. It's a little bright. Okay, the whites are a little clipping there, so I'll put that in. I'm going to option click on auto there, and I'm going to say fix the channel contrast, snap the midtones, that's good, and pull those whites down. That's close. Let's go ahead and just come up here and pull the whites down a little bit, and we'll lift these up just a little bit down here. That's that classic S curve for fixing contrast. 2 points, making a little curve in it. All right, it looks better. A little vibrance. By the way, if you're wondering why doesn't he just use a saturation adjustment layer, look what happens when you crank the saturation up, right? So forgive the joke, some of you heard this earlier, unless your name is Peter Max, you can't do that effect. Instead, you want to use a vibrance adjustment, which is much more gentle. Even though it has an effect called saturation, it doesn't posterize as badly, and you can pull that in with vibrance and saturation. Now, a lot of you are intimidated by curves. What you want to do is click the magic finger, because this will tell you, oh, when you click there and lift, add the control point. Oh, and let's come over here and click over here. Right about there is pretty good, and I'll pull back down a little bit. And oh, up here in the sky, pull that down a little more. And let's fill that back in with some color. Did I have to even know where to add a control point? No, I just clicked in the image and clicked on the area that I wanted to affect. Yes, that does work on still photos too. Okay, so even if you walk out of here going, I'm never going to edit video, that looks way too hard. But I learned how to use the curves adjustment finally. Yeah, it's not hard. It's a great tool. I love it. That on-image tool has been there for 4 years. If you didn't click it, it's okay. You might have just thought Photoshop was giving you the finger. It's all right to click the finger. It's magic. All right, let's go to the next thing here, and we'll just finish this out. Pretty good. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and grab these and hold down the Option key or the Alt key and drag them above that shot, and then choose Layer, Create Clipping Mask so it indents. So see, I could reuse that shot from one to the other. That's looking pretty good. We just did a little auto adjustment there. I like that. Vibrance looks pretty good. Last shot. Let's finish this out. Curves, auto. Let's lift that up just a little bit in the shadows. Vibrance. Good. Last one. And curves, auto. A little too much. I'm going to pull those highlights down. A little more blacks. That's an example when it didn't work. And a little bit of vibrance. Now, at this point, I should watch it back all the way through, but we're going to pretend I did because we're getting towards the end of the class and I want to make sure we have time for prizes and exporting. So here we go. What I want to do now is finish this out. First off, I am going to add a new video group. And in this video group, which is another track above my other video track, I'm going to add a gradient. There we go. Let's do a nice black to white gradient. Okay. And here we go. Let's put this in there. We'll just do a simple reset. Good. Black to white. We'll make that a radial gradient. Reverse it. See that nice little power window there, that little vignette? Darkened edges. Put it in multiply mode, and it drops out the whites. Okay? So what this will do is allow you to get that cool power window effect where it puts a vignette at the edges. And you Lightroom users, you post-crop vignette people, I know you like this. Okay? This is that little effect that guides the viewer's eye towards the middle of the frame. Now, want to know another cool effect? One you probably never used before? I'm going to make another video group, and in this one, I'm going to add a LUT, a lookup table, new in CS6, an absolute thing that assigns the ability here. And we got that. That's fine. You know, let's put that up there. Oh, where are you, color lookup table? Where'd you go? Interesting. Gradient fill, yes. Take two. And we'll just drag that down here. We'll just go into the video track. There it is. And there's my color lookup. And I'm going to choose the film look preset. Look at that. Ooh. Digital film stocks. Nice, right? Yeah. That's what Hollywood people use. A lookup table applies absolute color grading based on saying, take this black and make it this black. Take this white and make it this white. By the way, there's all sorts of other ones in here, like a bleach bypass, which is that gritty commercial music video look. Yeah, that's not bad, is it? Fall colors to sort of warm it up a little bit. Nice, pleasant, smooth, emotional feel of a nice autumn day. Let's go with that film stock, though. And if it's too much, just back off the opacity till you get what you like. Lookup tables are awesome. Did anybody show you a lookup table this week? I did, yes. You can have a book. Come on up. I like that answer. All right. So do we have any left? Is there anything up there? All right, good. So
it's the one I want.
Good, perfect. Lookup tables are awesome. They are what the people who get paid $500 an hour to fix color use, and they've been in Photoshop CS6 now for 6 months, and you didn't find them. Well, that's why you come to Photoshop World, right? To learn new things. And again, if I have to keep saying it, yes, they work on still photos. So feel free to make that part of your workflow. Now, if I want to add some text here, no big deal. That's super easy to do. I'm just going to add a new video group, and on that video group, we'll take the text tool, click and drag. I want to keep the text inside these blue lines. That's the safe title area, so it's readable. Dragon, boat, races. Yes, I already chose the font and the kerning, so this would go better in class. You might not get it right the first time. The controls are up here. Feel free to change them. Now, beyond that, you can actually add layer styles. So I'm going to put a color overlay. Actually, a gradient overlay would be nice. And let's go from white to sort of this light blue. I kind of like that. That's good. And for the first white here, I'm going to make that a little bit bluer. There we go. That feels kind of good. And I'll click OK. And while I'm at it, let's put a little stroke on there to make that easier to read. And I could lower the opacity of that stroke. And let's put a little drop shadow. I like that. Play with the size. By the way, you could just click and drag to position it wherever you want. Most people don't know that. If you did, you're super smart. You can come back next year. Okay. I'll click OK. And I got it. There's my title. If I need to here, we'll just drag that so it starts at the beginning. We'll put a little fade on the front. Fade with black. Fade out. There it is. And let's watch. Now, before we watch, I'm going to show you a little trick. It won't play back perfectly smooth because we have all those color effects on, right? Here's what you do. You can turn off the audio by clicking the speaker button here, and then turn off the option called Allow Frame Skipping. So that you play it through, and you see how it's not going at real time. It's going like 8 frames a second. But do you see this line here? It's building it into preview. It's loading it as a cache. If you've ever seen After Effects or used After Effects, it's the same idea. It's putting those frames into memory. When it finishes and I go back to play it, I could turn the audio on, and because those frames have been loaded, it'll play back perfectly in real time with the audio in sync. So you just do that method and it works great. Now, in a second here, when this is done caching, I'm going to show you the export options. You have 2 major choices. You can make an archival quality QuickTime movie for backing up. This would be just like making a PSD or a TIFF file that you save. Now, you could still save the Photoshop document, and in the future, if you want to make an edit, what do you open up? The Photoshop file. But what needs to be in the folder with it? All the video clips. Otherwise, you're just going to have a Photoshop document with a bunch of freeze frames in it, and you're going to go, wow, it's like a slideshow. Okay? It goes through, it works. Now we're almost there. Twinkle, 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 fade to black. Directors always say that, and fade to black. Okay, so now we'll turn the audio back on. I'll come up here up to the front, and we'll press play. And that's the video. Now, to share it with people so you don't have to invite everybody over to your house or carry your laptop everywhere, you just would say, File, Export, Render Video. Okay? File, Export, Render Video. By the way, did anybody not get one of the little blue cards with the pictures on the back? Okay, Pam, can you pass a couple out? They're all gone? Okay, we gave them all away. All right, sorry. That's what we're going to use for the last drawing, but I'll have other cards afterwards if you need them. You can choose where you put these things. Select the location. Here's the choice. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Was that the reminder? Okay, do your evaluations and fill out nice things and tell them to bring me back. Okay, so if you want that archival movie, choose QuickTime. And then you could say, make a JPEG 2000 high quality movie. If you have lots of storage space, you could say uncompressed. But JPEG 2000 high quality is really good, or uncompressed is fine. If you want to post this to the web, choose Adobe Media Encoder H.264. And what you defined is high, medium, low. That's easy. Or better yet, look, presets. iPhone, Apple TV, HD television, Vimeo, and YouTube. Choose the one that's right for you. You can do it multiple times. Usually choosing like the Vimeo HD is plenty, and it'll work in other places. But sometimes the data rate may be too high for an iPad, and if you do that, it'll either convert it when you import it for your iPad anyways, or you can run it twice. You can do as many exports as you want. They all just take time. Now here's the huge, and I mean huge gotcha. Please pay attention. Super, super, super important. My document was 23.97, right? That was my frame rate. 23.976, in fact. Now I pick this one, and look, it says, oh, my frame rate preset, 29.97. When I choose this, it will take a lot longer to render, and it's going to make the picture soft, which is why instead you will say use your document frame rate. Why the presets are wrong, I don't know. I've recorded this as a movie so you can watch it again. I have told Adobe a few hundred times that this is a bad idea. I'm pretty sure it will change in the future. Feel free to tell them to. But we've got all that. We're all set. We've got everything ready to go. I would save my project. Now see, notice I hadn't saved my project yet, Photoshop sin number 1. Good idea to probably save your project before you start rendering so that you have the Photoshop document. And then, you know, as soon as that's done saving, File, Export, Render Video. And then we can go ahead and spit that out, click Render, and it's going to write the file.